Hey guys, this is Joseph from Play Tennis. Today I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of a single backhand versus a double backhand. So after this video, we should have a better idea of which shot is better for us. So you might have seen Denis Shapovalov, one of the professional tennis players on tour. He uses a single backhand, beautiful shot, and you might have said to yourself, I want to learn to do that. So there's some really important things we need to cover before diving into learning the single backhand and weigh out the benefits and the disadvantages so we can have a better idea of whether or not we should stick with our double backhand or start trying to learn the single backhand. One pro or upside to the single backhand is you're going to get more maneuverability and range in your stroke. When I say maneuverability, I mean you're going to have a better chance to maneuver the racket as your range of motion is less restricted, okay? Because we're only using one hand versus being stuck with two hands on the racket. And when we talk about range or range of motion, this also links to maneuverability because again, we're using just one hand or one arm. We have more freedom in our motion when executing a single backhand. Another pro or upside to using a single backhand is you will tend to get better feel, okay? When I say get better feel, you'll generally feel more connected to the ball when you make contact with a single-handed backhand versus a double-handed backhand, okay? Why is this? Is because when we're using that one hand and we're contacting the ball, okay, we're going to feel the weight of the ball a lot more in one hand or our dominant hand versus holding it with two. The feel's not as good. The feel's a little bit more muted. So we're just going to give this a try. Okay, and when you have time, go through this with your coach or by yourself, grab a couple balls and just see and feel the difference when you contact with a single backhand versus a double. Okay, so we try a single first. Okay, then we're going to try the double. Okay, straight off the bat, I feel a great difference in the racket head when I contact. On top of getting better feel with a single backhand, we're also going to have generally nicer looking technique. The single backhand tends to be more of an aesthetic shot in comparison to the double backhand. Okay, it just looks a lot more natural as a technique versus having two hands on the racket as we execute the backhand ground stroke. So one downside to a single backhand that I generally see when people are trying to learn it is it's very difficult to master, okay? It's a very technical shot. It will require a lot of practice in order for you to get to a comfortable level to where you can rally consistently with it. While with the double backhand, there's a reason, right? We look on the ATP tour, both on the men and women's side, most of the pro players are using double backhands, and the majority, well over 90%, I'd say, starting out in tennis, start with the double backhand. So generally, the double backhand tends to be easier to learn. And now this is where we go on to the pros and cons of a double backhand. Okay, so I myself have been playing with a double backhand since I started at 8 years old. And there might be a little bit of a bias here, I guess, but I feel it served me well. It's been my most consistent shot in my whole game. So the first pro or upside to a double backhand is that it's going to give you more stability, okay? And this stability can translate to more power if you use the ground stroke correctly. Okay, so firstly, we go back to stability. Why do we get more stability on a double backhand in comparison to a single? Is because we got two hands on it, right? So when we have two hands on it, it's going to be a lot easier to keep the racket stable throughout the motion and upon contact, whether we're dealing with a heavy ball or a soft ball. Okay, and furthermore, I've got the strength of both my arms stabilizing the racket throughout the motion. So with that added stability, and if I use the technique correctly and put my body into the shot, I'll be able to generate a good amount of power with my two-handed backhand. Okay, so don't forget to get that hip and body rotation in. The second upside to using a double backhand versus a single backhand is that it will generally be easier to deal with high balls, high bouncing balls from the opponent. Okay, it's often from intermediate, beginner to advanced and professional level. You will see players trying to hit high topspin balls to the backhand side, and generally it is tougher to deal with high balls with a single backhand, okay? Because we're going to have a lot less strength hitting a high ball, and we're depending purely on just one arm with a single backhand. But with my double backhand, again, a lot easier to keep it stable, and because we're contacting high, again, we're weaker in this position, so I really want to harness all the strength that I can put into the shot from my whole body. And if I have two arms and two hands on the racket, it's generally going to be easier to deal with the higher balls. Okay, so I'm going to try and demonstrate here one single backhand and one double backhand with a high ball. Okay, so first we try the single. Okay, of course, can still execute decent high ball shots with a single. Okay, I think I got lucky there. And then with the double, I just feel a lot more secure. Okay, I feel it's a lot more reliable when I'm using two hands, whether I'm dealing with a high or low ball. The final key point for the double backhand slash another upside is that it's gonna allow you to be able to make last moment adjustments before contact. Think about it. The ball's coming in with my single backhand. Okay, I still got my two hands on the racket at the start, at the initial preparation. However, once I commit to the shot and my weak hand comes off, I'm just left with the one hand on the racket. I really have to commit to the shot. There's no going back after this. I can't really adjust my grip throughout the swing. Okay, while with a double backhand, in the worst case scenario, maybe we're a little bit out of position and the ball's coming in at an awkward height. At least throughout my stroke, I still have the option to make some last moment adjustments with my grip and my reach so that I can at least play the ball back in, whether I'm hitting with slightly bent arms or extended arms. Those are the pros and cons of single backhand versus double backhand. Okay, so my general conclusion will be for beginners and intermediate level players to stick with a double backhand and focus on building a solid foundation before they progress to trying to learn new strokes such as the single backhand. Okay, again, just my advice, and I might be a little biased because I play with a double backhand myself. But yeah, again, there's a reason that the majority of professional players stick with a double backhand. However, don't let it deter you. If you're really keen to have a nice, beautiful single backhand with hard work and dedication, you can get where you need to be. So I hope you found these tips useful. Stay safe.